Have no fear of perfection. You will never reach it. Salvador Dali, Spanish artist, surrealism painter, cultural influencer, and inspirational motivator. Through researching a few online articles I found on the Dali.org, DaliPaintings.com, Biography.com, and SmithsonianMag.com, I can now tell you the story on how Dali deliberately decided to define his life daringly. Through these websites, I was able to learn the myriad of art forms Dali studied and the influential artists that he replicated throughout time that impacted his pieces of art that still resonate with us today. The Dali.org mentions that from his personal life to his professional endeavors, he has always taken great risks and proved how rich the world can be when you dare to embrace pure, boundless creativity. Dali ended up utilizing his surrealism touch on a lot of his artwork, embracing his exploration of subconscious imagery. As Dali puts it, surrealism is destructive, but it destroys only what it considers to be shackles limiting our vision. An interesting influencer in Dali's life, arguably his idol, is Sigmund Freud. One critic urged a reader to page Dr. Freud to uncover the meaning in the canvas. This is according to SmithsonianMag.com, referring to the famous melting clock painting, The Persistence of Memory. Dali worshipped and admired Freud. He based much of his work off of Freud's ideas. Therefore, Freud would be the best person to be able to uncover his art and the meaning behind it. Dali was fascinated with learning about Freud's psychoanalytic theories and applying them in his artwork. Aside from Sigmund Freud, Salvador would seek out other artists to learn from them, such as Pablo Picasso, and he tried out many types of art, including sculpting, printmaking, and many more. He primarily stuck to applying the classical technique, which were mostly influenced by the Renaissance period. He claimed his roots were in the great traditions of painting, and he always sent credit toward famous artists like Raphael, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Diego Velázquez. As mentioned before, Dali's most well-known painting, The Persistence of Memory, is of melting clocks. There are many thoughts on the meaning behind it, but one fact is that it reflects a dreamlike imagery, which is much like a lot of Salvador's paintings. He developed his own concept that was referred to as the paranoia critical method, which is a surrealist technique consisting of the artwork invoking a paranoid state. In other words, creating a fear in oneself of being manipulated, controlled, or targeted. By practicing this, he may have provided a false sense of reality. One example of this may be that Dali believed that he was a reincarnation of his dead brother. The critical paranoia method helped him to cultivate delusion and art. Because of some of his beliefs and his possible glorification of Adolf Hitler, Dali was actually expelled from the surrealism group. Dali would often find himself enjoying creating sensations among people, especially through controversy. He was a highly opinionated person, which drove a lot of his motivation and success. Dali enjoyed making creations that made an impression on people and had depth for people to interpret through imagination. One example of this is when Dali painted Soft Construction with boiled beans. This showed a tormented figure that tears itself apart, in which Dali made the reference, a delirium of auto-strangulation. This was known to be a premonition of the Civil War, making a powerful anti-war statement. This painting was made 6 months prior to the worst of the war, predicting the destruction and devastation that would come from it. Salvador Dali was not focused on perfection. Instead, His focus was in expression, and through applying what he learned through people who influenced him and his self-motivation, Dali spent his life searching and trying new techniques. He was a risk taker and he never held back. The result of Dali's life is him leaving a lasting mark on our world that people still turn to and ponder.